Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Backstage Spotlight. Today we have the fabulous Stevie. Hello. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you
I'm
for having
really excited to have you on today. Would you like to do a brief overview of who you are, introducing yourself, and what you're currently doing in the industry at the moment?
me. Yeah, sure. I am Stevie Doc. I recently won Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream, which subsequently means I am now playing Sophie in the West End. And we've only got 5 weeks left right now.
Oh, my goodness. That has flown by. I remember the show being on TV and the final coming round and then your debut, and now it's
Yeah.
all going to be over.
I know it's crazy. It's gone by so fast. I actually can't believe how quickly it's gone. There was a point where I felt like it was never going to end in a good way. Sorry, that's in a good way, in the
Yeah.
best way. I was like, this feels like it's just going to go on forever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, now it's actually 5 weeks, and it feels like they're gonna speed by as well. So.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go back to the very beginning of the whole process of the Mamma Mia, the TV show. How did you decide to apply for it?
So I originally thought because it came up on like an advert, I think on like Facebook or something like that, and I'm never on Facebook, but I just by chance happened to be on it that day. And I thought they were looking for people who hadn't trained, so I thought it was like sort of like a I don't know, like maybe more like a Britain's Got Talent sort of thing, or like some like people who were just not they hadn't trained in musical theatre. And I was in my third year at drama school at that point. So I didn't apply for it immediately. It wasn't until I realised that I found out that people in my year had been applying for it and had been auditioning. And I was like, oh, I didn't realise that was the thing that we could do. So, um, and then I applied after I found out that people were applying for it, and then my cousin also had messaged me as well to be like, you need to apply for this. And I was like, okay. So I think it was sort of it was one of those things that you kind of, I think you had to send a self tape, like a video of yourself singing. And I ended up just sending a video of something that I already had on my phone because it was sort of one of those things that you were like, oh, it's probably nothing's going to come of it. Like, I'm going to send this away and never hear back. And um, I'll just send whatever I've got. And I mean, that clearly worked. So,
Oh, brilliant. It's one of those things where it all just happens and you're like, yeah, like if you don't do it, you'll never know. It's that sort of thing, isn't it?
yeah,
And
yeah,
how did you, so obviously there was loads of rounds. How was it when you got into the Novello and you did that final round on stage before going abroad?
yeah. So, we had that was the final 50 people at that point. There was more rounds after being at the Novello, which was
Wow.
yeah. But that point, actually being on the Novello stage for the first time was I'm a big believer in like manifestation. I feel like I've got a lot of things in life through just unintentionally manifesting quite a lot of the time and only realizing later on that I actually think I manifested that into my life, but I didn't know at the time that I was doing that. And I actually think when I was on that stage it was like it was so weird. It was like an energy shift that I sort of felt like, oh, this feels like I'm supposed to be here. It was such a surreal experience, but it would just felt like everything was falling into place at that point. And then straight after it, I regretted my thoughts because we went into the little room, and they started bringing some people back out on stage to like film some other bits, like to do like some little mini workshop things. And I never got asked to do that. And I was like, oh, never mind, I'm cut. And everyone that didn't get pulled back on stage was like, well, won't see you next week. But that again wasn't the case because some of the people who ended up on the TV show did those, and some like me didn't do those. So that's the industry as well, isn't it? There's just you never know, you can never guess. So there's no
Exactly.
point.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you actually feel when you got told that you were going to fly out?
I was so I was in TK Maxx actually, and
Fantastic.
yeah. love TK Maxx, and um, I we I don't know how it ended up happening, but I think the final I think it was final 15 girls. Um, we somehow ended up in a group chat. Don't know who made that or what happened, but we were all in this group chat, and someone had put in a message saying, "Oh, I've just had my phone call." Because we'd been waiting like all week and no one knew when it was going to happen, and it was like the first person that put in the message being like, "I've just had a phone call," and then everyone was like, "Ah!" And I was obviously in TK Maxx, and I was like I was in the queue, and I was like left all my stuff, and I was like running out, and thankfully I did, because I was the next person they called. I literally ran out, and I got literally just out the door, and I got a phone call, and yeah, as I was running out of TK Maxx. So I was already, my energy was already up here. So, and then everything that Jenny, who had given us the phone call, everything she said after that point, I didn't hear. After she told me that what had happened, that I'd got it, she was like telling me all these details about what was going to happen next, and I just was like, yeah, okay, and I just none of it went in. She was like, I am going to send you an email, and I said, please, because I didn't hear any of that. She was like, okay, and then I phoned my dad.
Oh, so nice. And after all of those rounds, I bet you were just like, oh my goodness, I'm going abroad. And
Oh, it was, yeah, that it's sort of like that was the longest audition process that I think anyone would ever do, because it was so, and it was also so strange because everyone was there all the time. They were always around the people that were you were sort of against. Um, it wasn't like you turn up, you do your slot, and then you leave. Like we were there for hours, like all day. Um, so yeah, I think that sort of felt, going from that to then finding out that you were actually going. It's one of those things that it's, do you know what? My uncle explained it in a really good way when I phoned him, and he was like, it's sort of like someone telling you that you're going to the moon, because you don't understand that because you've never been to the moon. So
yeah,
you don't know what to expect. You don't know how to react to that,
yeah,
because
like process it and to
yeah, because
see
it's
yourself
never
doing.
happened.
Yeah,
Yes, because it's not something many people have done. So it was just like it felt like I fully couldn't process it until, I think until the rehearsal started,
yeah,
or maybe actually until I got off the plane. Like actually, to be honest, I don't think it fully, even when I found out that I won, I don't think it fully, actually, I don't think I fully understood what was going on the whole time. Yeah, it was amazing, but so it was like out of body. The whole experience was, yeah, amazing.
ask you this because some people don't like watching themselves back. Have you actually watched the TV show?
Um, yes, because I watched it as it was happening. Like every episode that came out, I watched. And that was more because I was more interested in not what I did, because I knew what I did and I knew what everybody else had done as well. It was more to see what they wanted to show, what they decided to put in, because we were filming for hours and hours and hours. Yeah, and obviously the show was only like an hour long each episode, or so it was. I just kind of wanted to know what it was that they were going to show from those episodes, and things that we spent literally 4 or 5 hours recording was in for maybe like 5 minutes of the show. So stuff like that was kind of what I was more interested about seeing. And also I wanted to watch everyone's performances back again, because the talent that was in Corfu was incredible, and it was just so nice to, we were all so close, and we all became such good friends that it was more of a, it was really wholesome for us watching it back, I think, because it was like we got to support each other again, and like we all watched the first episode together, and it was just, yeah, I did watch myself back then, but I would, if whenever things come out now, or if I see anything, I don't watch anything anymore. I just, because I don't need to see it. I don't need to know what it looks like. Because I'll hate it no matter what. So there's no point. I'll just leave it for everyone else to look at.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to watch it. Your job is done.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Do you have a highlight of Corfu, your time out, or on the TV, like the show in itself? Was there a highlight?
Um, I there was a moment when we were all together at the very start, and I it was the very first opener that we were filming, and it was like becoming golden hour, like they were waiting for golden hour to film this specific bit. And we were all gonna run down towards this church. And we had like 100 Greek extras, like we're running towards like all of these people and a church, and it was all of us plus all of the dancers. Um, and it was at that point everyone started saying to each other like, deep it, just deep what's going on right now, like think about like what we're doing, because it was just, and that was like, you know when someone says to just live in the moment, and
Yeah.
they're just like just deal with what's going on right at that point, like don't think about what's going to happen next or what's happened, like how you got there, just think about right now. And it was just that was amazing, because we were all just running towards this church and we were just supposed to have fun, and it was genuine. Every single person there was just having the time of their lives at that point, and no one was stressed. It was, we were in Corfu, it was just, it was gorgeous, and everyone was, yeah, just supporting each other, and that was amazing, realizing that we did it. We got there, like all 14 of us. So yes.
Fantastic feeling that must be. And just like you said, like deep it, like you all come from similar backgrounds, like some have not trained, some have trained, have been in like second, third year, and you're just like suddenly all in Corfu, like at this competition, which is being broadcast nationally on TV, and you're all just like, and we're just running to a church and golden hour in Corfu.
As you do, you know.
Oh yeah, every day. So how did you deal with like college? Did you leave a bit early to film?
So I went to Arts Ed, and the way that Arts Ed works in third year is that if you book a job after a certain point, you have to have done both of your um, third year shows, and you have to have done your showcase. After that point, you can leave early to do a job, but you have to have done everything that they need you to do to get your degree, essentially. Um, and I'd luckily it all worked out for me that it was late enough in the year that I managed to leave early, but still got to do my third year shows in my showcase. So yeah, I did. I left early, and flew to Corfu to film a TV competition.
At that point, did like your friends and everyone in your year know that that was happening?
It was supposed to be very much, people weren't supposed to know, because it's you signed an NDA and stuff, so you're not really like, people aren't meant to know. But there are people in my year who were auditioning for it
Yes,
and
they knew what
had
the
got
process.
really far in the process. So then, therefore, when I left, it was sort of a thing of, I think people just sort of assumed that's where I'd gone. Um, but yeah, no, it was hard, because every time someone asked me about it, I had to just be like, don't know what you're talking about. No idea. I was just on holiday. Yeah.
What was your favorite masterclass that you did in the show?
Oh, do you know what? I actually I loved all of the master classes, because they felt they were like the least pressure situations I felt. Just because you sort of had a bit of chance to like work on stuff, whereas obviously the performances were like one and done. We didn't refilm those. They were literally, you felt like you do it, they film it, and it's done, and then you get judged on it. So um and I suppose that's what live theatre is, but it's hard when it's being filmed, and you know people are gonna then rewatch that. But the I think I actually, it's not my favorite, but the one that comes to mind the second that you mentioned a workshop was the first acting workshop we did with the diary. And I was really gutted, because they didn't show much of it in that episode. It was the very first episode, and they didn't really show much of it. Or was it Girls Week? It was Girls Week, and that was so fun. Like, I got to do a scene with Amber Ellie and Samantha Barks. Like, that to me still, I'm like, is absolutely baffling that that just happened. That, and also as well though, that we had to learn that so quickly. So um a lot of like people messing up or forgetting lines and stuff, we were I'm not going to tell you how long because I don't think we're allowed to, but we were given a very short amount of time to learn that literally just before we had to do it, which I mean is part of the program, I suppose. Also, funnily enough, in the musical, I actually have all of the words written in the diary. So it was kind of pointless, but the words are actually written in the diary for the whole of Honey Honey, but it's because they want you to look as if you are following something.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
if you're looking at a blank page, you're just going to be like,
Or if the higher audiences can just see you looking down at
yeah, I can see
the
into it. Yeah. So there's writing the whole way through that diary. So if it falls on any page, you will see that there's writing on the diary, which is so cool, and I love that because I
yeah.
thought it was just going to be like blank pages. I just have to pretend, but no, it's all written in there. So if I ever forget my words, I just just have a look.
Oh, great. And I suppose you get this question all the time, but how did you actually feel when they announced that you won?
Oh, I froze. I still remember, and I've seen the videos. That's one video that I see all the time. For some reason, it just comes up all the time. Is when we find out that we won, and my immediate reaction was obviously I went to Esme and I put my head into Esme because I think my brain just went, it like sort of shut down, and I didn't know what to do. So I think I kind of just went hide. Like I literally was like, I just need to hide. It was so weird. And then they said my name first, and then they said Toby. And it wasn't until about, I'm gonna say about 5 seconds later, that my brain sort of switched back on and went, oh, they said Toby. Because I was just thinking, what do I do? What's going on? And then, you know, when you like hear something and there's like a delay and then you don't process it until like a little bit later. And I was like, oh, they said Toby. So it was, yeah, I feel like I just sort of shut down.
Yeah. It's like an out of body experience where you're like, is this actually happening to me?
Yeah, and again, it was like someone telling you you're going to the moon. I didn't know I didn't know what that meant. They were like, you've won. And I was like, great.
And then you're like, now I'm on the West End as
Now
Sophie.
what do I do? Now I need to, and then the next day I was in a costume fitting and I was like,
And you're like, oh,
I
that
know.
turnaround must have been crazy. What was the rehearsal process from the TV show to the opening night on the West End?
Sorry, my brain just shut down because we were just, could you say that again, please?
From the TV show, the rehearsal process from then going on to the West End, because you must have done quite a lot of workshopping and stuff in the show, was it like a condensed rehearsal for the stage, or did you do the full thing?
Yes. So we had three 3 weeks.
Wow.
Is that? I think that's right. We The competition happened.
Yeah.
The day after I was in a fitting, costume fitting. The day after that, no, I was in a costume fitting, and the same day I had to go to our MD, Marcus, and he note bashed all of the Sophie songs, and it was about an hour and a half session of me just sat there with him just playing every song that I had to know. And I was like, great, cool. Sat there just recording everything. And then we didn't do anything until January. So that was in the October.
Yes.
No, the show aired in October, so it was a December. Sorry, it was December. The final was in December, and then we were off because they were like, "We'll give you Christmas, let's just chill." So, and then we came back in the start of January. Yes, and then we opened on the 29th. So we had, I think it was 3 weeks
Yeah.
to do everything, and obviously, like you say, like Toby had done his two scenes, I think, already on the TV show and his song. So he had learned everything. He was fine. He just had to do the blocking. I was in all day, every day for 3 weeks. And it was very intense. Because obviously everything that we had done in the TV show is not the way that necessarily they wanted you to do it in the
Sure.
West End. So there was a lot of, oh, actually, I know you've learned it this way, but we want you to do it like this. Actually, can you change this bit and do it like this? Also, that's not the words for this bit. It's in the and that it's actually a bit different. And it's like, okay, cool. Had to, like, it was like going back and relearning stuff, which was actually really really fun. I really enjoyed that rehearsal process. Plus, there was towards the end of that they started bringing in the cast to do things with us because at the start it was just me and Toby. They were trying to do all of the stuff like um with just us two, and then they started bringing in the cast, and we got to start actually spending time with some people, and that was really really nice. The cast were so lovely to us, and I I'm scared to go to another job because I'm worried that I won't have a cast that's as kind, and we all get on so well, and it actually really breaks my heart that we're not gonna see each other every day now. That's so sad.
So wholesome though, when you have that group of people that you just click so well with. It sounds like it was like that on the TV show too. So you've had like two lots of such nice people, and it must really make the work even nicer because you just go to
Oh,
work and you're like, I'm getting paid for this, and it's just a dream.
honestly, I don't know. Sometimes I do think, why am I being paid? I'm being paid to have fun. I'm being paid to go on stage and enjoy myself. Like, and that just obviously is great, but it's so strange to me to think that people go to work and hate their jobs, and I am so lucky that I get to go and have fun and literally just have fun with my friends on a stage. Obviously, there's a bit more to it than that, but
Yeah, it is that, isn't it? On
yeah.
opening night in the West End, how many people came to watch you that you knew, like friends and family?
Mm, not many
Oh,
because they all came. So my family are from Scotland. They
yes.
all came to watch the final, um, and I think with the fact that there had been like pretty much everyone came to watch the final that I knew. And I think because it was so close, it was a lot for them to come back down again for opening night. But also it was like my dad came, my boyfriend came, his family were there. So I had people there, but it was also quite nice that I didn't have everyone there because that opening night was so stressful anyway, and I was so nervous that it was quite nice to not have that extra added pressure of every single person that I know and love there to watch me. It also made the year go by so much faster because I've had like periods of time when I've had it's all been split up and people have come and it was their first time watching it, and I love having people in watching because it's sort of I feel like I wake up a little bit from what I'm doing, and I'm like, oh, I've actually got people here that haven't seen this show yet that I want to do my best for, and it's just you just sort of wake up a little bit on stage because you're like, oh, I need to impress my family again, um, which is it's been quite nice to have that and have it sort of be a bit more spread out throughout the year.
Yeah, that's lovely. What would you say your favorite scene or song in the show is?
Oh, it changes all the time, but it's not it's I wouldn't say favorite, but if Honey Honey goes well, the rest of the show is going to be great, and that's like, as in if the three of us, whoever it is that's on, if it's Liv and Jessie or if it's any of the covers that are on, if that scene, because it's literally I sing I have a dream and then it goes straight into the Honey Honey scene and Honey Honey, and if we have a lot of fun in that scene and song, then I'm set up for the rest of the show and it puts me in such a good mood. But if also if one of us is really struggling that day, that's our scene to be like, no, we're getting through the show today. Like we help each other, which is it's such a nice way to start the show for us as well as for the audience because it's such a fun number, and the scene's so fun and silly, and we just get to enjoy ourselves, and then we go straight into another fun and silly scene straight after with like meeting the dynamos, and it's the whole start of the show is so just fun, and if that all goes well and everyone's in a great mood, and it's just the rest of the show just flies by after that point.
Great. And do you have like pre-show rituals, like things that you do before every show without a fail?
Yes. they've sort of changed recently. So, um, obviously we do our like vocal warm up and everything, but I'm always in the theater about 5, 5:30, because I want to sit down and eat before everything happens. Like before I warm up, before everything, I like to make sure that I've like just sat and chilled for a bit. And sometimes like Jessie and Lev will come in, or um early, and we'll just have like a little debrief about our days and stuff, which is always so nice because I love those girls, and it's just I love having them in my dressing room, and we just have a little like chill time before we do warm up. Then we go down, do warm up. But what I've recently started doing is I use my gua sha because you know like do you know if you've ever done like a voice class or whatever, and they're like you know how when you like massage your face and like
Newton. Yeah.
muscles. So I've never thought about it until I seen the I can't remember who it was now. Someone who used to play Alphabet or is currently playing Alphabet, I can't remember, did a TikTok or something about how what she does in the day of life before she does Alphabet, and she was using a gua sha because she was like, it warms up my face, and I was like, such a good point. Like that's such a good time to do it. So yeah, now I'm a gua sha every day before the show. And then I also brush my teeth. That is, I can't go on stage without brushing my teeth or
Oh,
using mouthwash.
that,
Just
brushing their teeth. Yeah.
yeah, because I'm not, especially if I kiss Guy quite a lot in that show. I'm also singing in people's faces quite a lot. Leo, your love's quite close a lot of the time. And if I'm having to sing, it's more the singing actually than it is the kissing, which is funny. Like when you're singing, is very obvious if you've not brushed your teeth.
Have a bit of
And
garlic before you go on, and all was good.
yeah, yeah, of course. Well, that's the thing. Toby's annoyed me that day. I'll be like, well, just watch what I've had for my dinner.
Yeah, you can be like, well, maybe I won't brush my teeth today.
Maybe I'll have garlic prawns today.
Ah, it's so funny. Have you got like a highlight on stage or something funny that's happened while you were on stage that you can remember?
Oh, recently. So, um, recently we were doing Leo Your Love, and somehow don't know how it managed to happen, but the flipper boys who come on and do all the dancing in like their wetsuits and their flippers came on a whole chorus early. So they came on at the complete wrong time. When we so I just started seeing all of these flipper boys around me. Well, I was like, am I at the wrong bit? Are you at the what's going on? And by the time I'd figured out what was going on, I realized I hadn't been singing and I was supposed to be because I was like, oh, I don't sing when they're on. And then I realized, no, they've come on early. You're meant to be singing. And that was one of the funniest things that's happened, I think, so far for us on stage, because I just couldn't stop laughing after that. And once it's so funny because once you've started laughing, it's so hard to come back from it. And obviously you have to, but it's, when someone says you can't laugh and it just makes everything so much funnier. That was that moment.
What happened when you came off stage? Were you all just like, oh no?
Yeah, pretty much. And we were all like, "What?" And then I had someone from the stage management come up to me in the interval, and they were like, "Do you want to see a funny video?" And I said, "Is it from the oil?" We're like, "Yes, it is." And it's so funny watching them all come on, and then they start to realize they all start to go, "Oh, this is wrong," and then they just go back off. Oh, brilliant.
That is absolutely hilarious. How have you found doing stuff like West End Live and being involved in all of like the outside stuff, but still to do with the show?
Um, that's been so fun, and things that I didn't even think about would come along with doing the job, and like winning a TV show. Like when you think about all of that stuff, it's sort of like, oh well, what else could happen? I feel like I've sort of done it all, and then it's like, okay, now you're doing West End Live. Okay, now you're doing this. Okay, now you're doing that. It's like,
All the stuff.
okay. It's like there is more. There's more. And yeah, it's been so fun to do all of those little extra bits, and I really enjoy doing them. But I get really nervous to perform if it's the first run at it. I find it really hard. So if it's like a one time only thing, I really struggle with nerves. But ask me to do it again after that, and I'll be fine. It's just the first time of
Fun
having.
time,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it's I don't know what it is. It's like I think it's the whole thing of once you've done it, it's like, oh, I can do it. It's fine. I can do it now. But it's sort of the, oh, is this gonna come out? Are we gonna? Who knows what's gonna happen? But it's also once you finish the sense of like relief after doing something like that, and also just enjoyment is just it's incredible, and it's one of the best parts about our industry in our careers is that you get to do something like that and you come off and it's like a rush afterwards. Yeah, which is crazy. You don't get it from anything else. It's so weird.
Sure. If you could pick a show to do next or in the future at some point, it doesn't even have to be on at the moment, what would it be?
I'd love to do Disney. I'd love to do Anastasia if it ever came, would be wonderful. I
That,
know that they do. Sorry?
that needs to come to the West End.
Oh, it does. Oh, it does. Hands down needs to come to the West End. I can't. I love it. The other one is I know they do it on the Disney ships, but they've not taken it off the ship yet. Is Tangled. Um, so I would love to do that as well. And
I saw something actually on What's on Stage, something like shows that are in like being adapted for stage in 2025 or something, and Tangled was one of them. So,
um,
if
yeah,
that,
well, yeah, no, anything Disney. I'd love to do like a musical movie. That would be
yes.
that's ultimate dream. And anything Sondheim. Literally any give me get any of those shows and I will be so happy to be in them.
Oh, it's so nice. To anyone that's like just graduated or wanting to pursue a career in performance industry, what would your advice be to them? Like a similar thing to if you were that age, what would you tell yourself?
Um, just go for everything, like absolutely everything, and just don't. I feel like it's so easy to say, "Oh, I'm not good at that," or "I'm someone's better at me than that," or and it's so easy in this industry to compare yourself. But at the end of the day, you've got no idea what people are looking for, and you could think you're perfect for a job and not get it, and you could think you're absolutely so far away from getting that job and get it, and that's just it's just what happens. You never know what people want, and you also don't know what you're capable of until you do it. And I think a lot of the time, a lot of jobs, the ones especially that you think you can't do, are the ones you're going to learn the most from. So I just think honestly, just go for absolutely everything and anything. And never like I don't know, sell yourself short and think that you can't do something or that there's going to be someone better because that might not be the case.
Yeah, great advice. And lastly, the question I ask all of my podcast guests is if you could nominate someone to come on next and impart their knowledge onto the podcast, and I'll reach out to them and try and get them on, who would it be?
Ooh, good question. Oh, I've got so many friends. I don't know. Maybe like have you had anyone from Hadestown?
No.
Well, my now housemate, who's just recently moved in with me, um, Isabella Brown, is one of the Fates.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. Let her know that I'm going to reach out to her and that she has to come on the pod,
I will.
and we'll do it. We'll do it because that would be really. Love someone from Hadestown. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch Grace though. She wasn't on when I went to see it, and obviously now the cast has changed, so I won't get to see her unfortunately. But I did watch Dono, and oh, it's a phenomenal show. And I think personally, I love the fact that they all do it in their own accents because that's something that I would love to do as well. Is keep my accent in a show because it's really, don't know. There's just something so um especially with that show because it's so like what's the word, not indie, not Celtic, but that sort of like, oh, what's the word, oh, folk. It's like a really folky show. So it's really, I think the own accents work really well.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, it's been really, really lovely chatting to you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have.
I
And
have. Thank you so much for having me.
it's been great. And thank you to everyone listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week with another one. Bye.